Hey there, I'm Otto, I'm one of the founders of Segments.ai, and I wanted to show you in this tutorial how you can leverage our platform and interface as best and powerful as possible to accelerate labeling for segmentation. So when you're going to be onboarded on the platform, you will be accessing the portal, and you'll see that our platform is basically based on top of datasets. And when you access a dataset, you'll first receive an overview of the dataset with a README, some labeling specifications, and some additional insights. And then in the second tab, the samples tab, you will receive an overview of the different samples with their labels. Right? So let's assume we accessed an image to start label this image. Well, the power of our platform actually resides in specific technology that we've built based on machine learning models. And this technology pre-processes the image and helps you label much faster. When you open the image, you will see that some parts of the image are suggested and outlined when you hover over these parts. At the same time, when you use your scroll with your mouse wheel, you can change the size of these suggested segments. And in this way, it's actually very powerful to label. Let me just quickly label this image so you can see how useful it can be. So I would start with, for example, this car. I would scroll and select a rearview mirror and add it to the label. Here, this is a car, single click. This is a car, just dragging along multiple segments. This seems to be a truck, changing or selecting the right granularity, single click. Here we have a car as well. Then this not only works for instances, but also for area or stuff like areas, right? For example, lane markings. That's all a single click. Then we have here the road. Let's remove the part from the back. Then we have vegetation. And we have the sky. Right? And so you see, in less than 30 seconds, you can label this edge accurately, fully panoptically for segmentation. Right? So let's take a couple of steps back now. Right? Let me remove everything here. And let's just go through this piece by piece. I'll highlight sometimes some shortcuts, not always. For a full overview, you can access the shortcut menu on the top right behind the question mark. Or when you hover over the buttons, you should receive all the shortcuts as well. Now, our platform, as we mentioned, is based on this specific technology that helps you label faster. And this provides some suggestions, but at the same time, it's not always perfect. So that's why we added two different modes as well to help you correct these suggestions. In this way, we have 3 modes in total to help you label. First, we have the superpixel mode. This is our suggestion technology. We have the paintbrush mode, and we have the polygon mode. The superpixel mode, this is the one that I've just used, right? Where you get suggestions on the screen. And let's, for example, select this car. And let's say that we need to correct the car for the rearview mirror, and that we'll just use the manual tools. First, we have the paintbrush. The paintbrush is a normal default brush. Scrolling helps you change the size of this paintbrush. And so in this way, you could just select and drag to correct the rear view mirror. Right. You can also do this with the polygon. Yeah. The polygon provides you, by clicking, provides you with straight lines. Or you can also use a freeform by just holding the mouse button. Right. For example, if I would do this in large, again, click once, click twice to get straight segments. Holding creates a freeform. Closing the polygon can be done by just returning to the source or by double clicking. Now, each of these 3 modes have different options as well. Typically, all 3 modes have the lock button or the lock option. This allows you to actually lock existing labels. For example, here, I would not be able to adapt the already existing label. If I would actually enable the lock button with shortcut R, I can actually alter the other labels. Right? At the same time, the paintbrush and the polygon mode also have a eraser mode. For example, let me select this label. I could just remove some parts from it by using the eraser mode or by pressing E and just remove some parts from this. Or again with the polygon mode, which has shortcut G, holding E, I can then just remove a polygon part from the label, right? So just showing you the lock option and the erase option. Then the paintbrush also has an additional option, the straight line option. And this is just easy to use by just holding Shift. Clicking once, holding Shift, clicking twice, you receive a paintbrushed straight line, right? Not to be confused with the polygon mode, right? The polygon mode, when closed, will autofill everything. The paintbrush mode is just a normal paintbrush, right? Coloring in all the pieces that you're indicating. So these are the 3 different modes to use when labeling. Now the question is, hey look, how can we now label multiple instances after each other? How does that sequence look like? Well, on our platform, we always use the same flow. 3 items in the flow. First, you'll select a part on the image where you actually create the label. Second, you will change the class. And third, you will confirm the instance. For example, let's just use the superpixel mode. We will then first select an area on the screen. You will see that the label is created, and then we will change the class to car, which can also easily be done by using the shortcut C, and then by just typing, right? Pressing enter provides you the correct class. And then the third step is to confirm it with the check mark here, or by just pressing space. And then you confirm the label. And in this way, you also see that while editing a label, the label shows white. When you confirmed it and the label is confirmed, the label will be shown in a different color. Yeah. Now, which color that is depends on the visualization settings. By default, we have 2 settings, an instance-based coloring and a semantic-based coloring. Instance-based coloring colors all the instances in different colors. A semantic-based coloring provides instances the color corresponding to their class. Right? By default, typically, you would select one in the beginning of a project and use that one for the remainder of the project. Right? Now, this is the sequence of continuously labeling, right? First, selecting a part on the image. Second, changing its class. Third, pressing space to confirm it. By default, the last class is remembered. So in this way, it makes sense to label first all different objects from one category and then all the ones from another, right? Now, this shows you how to label multiple instances after each other. The question is then, hey, look, how can you alter or change an existing label? For this one, there are 2 ways. Or you select the label from the right-hand side, or a little bit more easily, you actually use the select in view mode, which is the one on the top left, or by pressing escape. So for example, if I would now press escape, I can just select this label and I enter in the editing mode. You see that it is selected on the right hand side and it will turn white. Then we have we know how to create labels, we know how to change labels, we know which modes to use, and we will know which options to use to adjust these ones. Let's quickly hop over to a bit of minor features. For example, changing the view. Again, scrolling in the superpixel mode changes the size of the segments. Holding Control while scrolling allows you to zoom. Right. Holding Control while dragging the image allows you to pan. And pressing F provides you a fit to view feature. Right? So often you would indeed scroll and zoom and pan, and then for the full overview, just press F on your keyboard again to have a full overview of the image. At the same time, we also have different visualization settings. Typically what is useful is to not just see both the image and the label, but also the image itself or the label only. Right? Both can be accessed by pressing I or L. Right? So this is also something that we typically use to see through the labels, just I and L, and you can actually see an overview of what you have labeled and what's behind the labels. Every part that has not been labeled is indicated in black. Right? So it might make sense at the end of an image, before saving or submitting it, to just quickly look at the label, especially if you're doing a panoptic segmentation labeling, that you have actually labeled all parts and removed all spurious remaining pixels from the image, left unlabeled. No. At the same time, behind the sun option, there are different visualization options, for example, image brightness, the label opacity of the labels, and then the grid opacity of the outlined grid. And then you can change the color of the outlines as well. Right? You can change that freely depending on the different images. For some, you might use other colors than for others. Right? Of course, there's also an undo button, Ctrl Z. We have the different zooms here. As mentioned, behind the question mark is the hotkey overview. And then we also have an introduction video in case you would like to just quickly have a look again at the different steps. Right. So these were the main parts of using and leveraging our interface to label more quickly for segmentation. Let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to drop us a line. Thanks.